Okay, maybe if I leave my screen there. Okay, welcome to the Shlaer-Mellor Commons September steering committee meeting. We've got a full agenda here, and I want to go through the agenda because especially when we get into the Shlaer-Mellor Commons discussions, it's a little bit long. So I want to give you the key points and summarize. And first is that xtUML days is right around the corner. It's basically 1 month from now. And so I want to get you caught up with where we are on that. It's going to be exciting and let you know what your next steps need to be because we need your help to make this a great conference. And then we'll talk about the Shlaer-Mellor Commons. In our last meeting, we kicked off the Commons. We gave a vision, kind of a foggy vision a little bit of what the Commons is going to be. We're going to solidify that and paint this vision, which can be grand, but then we're going to identify a roadmap. And a roadmap is essentially taking elements from the vision and incrementally project managing them into the work that we get done. And a key point there is that we can have a grand vision, but we're also wise if we remain optimistic, yet patient, and with realistic expectations. We're working with volunteers and a volunteer community. And so those volunteers will want to participate, very specific steps on how to participate, but a summary keyword on how you participate is that the Shlaer-Mellor Commons is effectively an open source software effort, open source information effort. And so participation is the open source software way. For those of you who are fresh out of the university and have used all these open source tools, it's nothing new. For some of us who might be on a high side firewall and working around different corporate plans, it may not be quite so familiar, but the open source software way, and I'll give some specifics. And then at the end, we'll have, I've got just a couple of slides to give an update on the existing teams that we established in our last meeting. And without stealing their thunder, we'll get an update on their progress. And when I say without stealing their thunder, there's going to be some element of the OOA and RD tooling teams and community teams at xtUML days as well. So I don't want to do it twice. So we'll just get a short update today and get to hear more at xtUML days. Questions before we jump into the xtUML days update? And feel free to, you're going to have to just yell at me, unmute your mic and yell at me if you want to stop with a question along the way.
You said patience, Court. So is that 25 years?
No. So we have to balance our optimism with some patience. But you'll see a slide. I like baby steps. Yes, incremental, always advancing, never broken. And so you can be impatient if we're not making any baby steps at all. But right. I'm super optimistic at this point because we have outlined some relatively modest steps to take, but I wouldn't call them grand, but I wouldn't call them tiny, and we're making progress. So reason for optimism. Okay, xtUML days is just about here, and the conference is set. It's going to be Zoom. Visit xtUML.org and page down to the very bottom, and there's the banner that takes you to the xtUML days information page. It will actually be updated probably once a week for the next few weeks, and then the week leading up to the conference, it'll get updated every day. But that is your source of information. Our agenda, Similar to last year when we were forced into an online Zoom conference, which turned out to be perhaps a good thing. It allows us to access people on all continents, but it forces us into a style of presentation where we need variety. We've got a mixture of live and recorded. We try to compress the presentations to be in a little bit shorter. But what's cool is that even with the recorded presentations, the presenters are present to answer questions even while they're talking. I remember Tristan last year kind of had his doppelganger kind of working behind the scenes while his recorded face was presenting, and we'll have that again. It'll be fast moving. One of the most exciting things, or one of the things I'm most excited about, is a couple of workshops that we're going to have. If you remember, one of the themes that we want for this presentation is a little bit less Shlaer-Mellor eclectic, whereas last year we were exploring the corners of the Shlaer-Mellor method and community and tooling. This year we're going to have a couple of back to basics. We're going to have a how-to on data modeling and a how-to on state modeling, not to train everybody up, but to give everybody just that refreshing sense of the distinctives of the Shlaer-Mellor method. And you'll see those in the agenda here. So I've got 3 pages here of draft agenda and speaker lineup for the conference. You'll see that Leon Starr is preparing his keynote. I think he's fueling himself up with some apple brandy so that he can keep it amusing as well as informative.
And I'm just going to interrupt real quick and just say that the title that is on the keynote is not going to be the title of the keynote. So just,
okay.
I'm sure it's a placeholder, but
it's a placeholder. Send me what you got, and we'll get it updated.
Same for me, Cortland.
Okay, yeah, and this is fluid. Let's just update it. I will also tell you that I reserve the right to change the order, which I already have plans to change the order. The timings, that T column is the rough amount of time allocated to each presentation. As you record your recorded presentations, those will come in and I will refine those. We've got a little, as it stands at the moment, we've got a little more material than we are able to fit into an 8-hour day. But we'll squash them down or address that as we go. It's like an airline. They sell more seats because they know that somebody is going to need to shorten their presentation or drop out. Here you see that we're also including updates from the RD tooling team. We'll have an update from the OOA team as well. We've got these workshops you saw on the previous page, the modeling, the data modeling that Colin is going to present. Mark Balser is going to lead us on the state modeling workshop. And then Mike Lee is going to have a workshop where we actually participate materially as members of his OOA team, just to see how that works. And that'll kind of fit in with kind of his presentation of the method progress. Okay, we will have a physical gathering in the UK in Portsmouth. This is a picture from the Still and West taken from my cell phone. And I got the sunset coming through that lamp as we look out over Portsmouth Harbor. And so Sunday evening, ahead of the Wednesday conference on the 27th, we have reservations at the Still and West for a dinner party hosted by One Fact. On Monday morning, we have a large conference room, a small ballroom at the Holiday Inn Portsmouth that we'll use from 8 o'clock in the morning till 1 o'clock in the afternoon. If we need it that much, if we need it more, I can extend that. And we can talk business, we can talk projects that are underway. This is not xtUML days, an xtUML days meeting, but more a discussion of ongoing active projects, specifically in the UK area. And as we'll see in our Shlaer-Mellor Commons vision, camaraderie is one of the things we like, and physical gathering is one of the things that gives us an outlet to talk technical, precise Shlaer-Mellor modeling while enjoying a small snifter of apple brandy. Okay, your next steps. Recruit. So we've got the conference in place. We've got a registration page in place. We've got speakers lined up. Now we need people. And especially those of you in industry who are in a town with a university and some connection with students at the university, get them registered for the conference, get your fellow employees registered for the conference. The conference is cheap. It's $100 this year. And if there's a need for a scholarship from someone, pay someone's way, or, contact me and let me know if we work something out. Everybody registers at the registration page, except the keynote and tower. Here's the link to get to that page. Part of our Shlaer-Mellor Commons vision is advocacy. And so part of that is growing the community, and let's involve some people, get people there who need to be there. Okay. That's the conference. So questions specifically about xtUML days, or comments, suggestions?
If I can back you up a second, are you planning on having a gathering on the conference day?
There will be a Zoom happy hour at the end of conference day, but not anything physical on the day of the conference.
Okay, thank you.
Other comments, questions before we move into the Commons discussion? Okay, again, we're going to talk vision, and we've got kind of this grand abstract vision. And what I've done is brainstormed some very concrete, tangible activities that I see fitting into the vision. You will have more. Some of what you'll see on the list are things that we've already started. And so fitting them into the roadmap, how do we mechanically make these come to pass so that we can enjoy our optimism and not rely on our patience too heavily. And then I'm going to be more specific about how people participate in this Shlaer-Mellor Commons. I will say that I'm kind of steward of this commons, and this is my vision, but your input and challenge and question and ideas and making it better is highly coveted. At the end, we'll touch on the progress of the existing teams. Okay, so in our last meeting, we said that, we talked about the past of the Shlaer-Mellor community and the future being the Shlaer-Mellor Commons. Well, the future is actually now. And so today I'm going to highlight a little bit more on our purpose around collaboration, camaraderie, and advocacy, and fit that into the vision and the roadmap. And here it is in writing. We are optimistic, yet patient with realistic expectations, and we celebrate when we have incremental forward progress.
Quick question, Court.
Yes, sir.
There's like a new software development methodology coming up called Essence, right? How do all these methodologies that appear and then everyone starts taking them up take off so well when it's all smoke and mirrors, whereas like modeling doesn't?
I do not have the answer to that question. It does trigger a thought that I have in my mind that when it comes to advocacy and growth of our community, I have chased after the rapid expansion in the past and focused outwardly in kind of a marketing sense to bring people into the community. And I've never had solid success there. Maybe that's my failure.
No, same here.
But in any case, what that leads me to do is, and it's something of a core value that I have, and that is that we focus on the family first. So we have an existing community, and the community has improvements that can be made. And so let's improve our existing community. And then perhaps when our community is functional and fun, and the collaboration, the camaraderie, and the advocacy is in the right place, then the growth will come. So we can do what we know is going to help, and not fish for things that we don't quite understand.
Okay.
So part of the vision is collaboration. We want to be able to work together, and this will require bringing people together, existing and new practitioners joining, and quickly finding the tools of collaboration, the tools of work, the tools of communication that are needed. And by the way, I'm going to, my next few slides will have a lot of words on them. I don't want to read them to you, so I want you to read them. So please read the slides as I talk. Camaraderie. Shlaer-Mellor people are a distinct group. We think in a certain way, and we enjoy being together and working together. There is satisfaction, like I said, in talking technical, precise modeling while enjoying a beer at a pub. There's also even probably greater satisfaction when applying Shlaer-Mellor techniques on a project and seeing success in that project. And so we're going to foster camaraderie in a number of ways. We're not going to ignore advocacy, and we've got a conference. We're pulling our community together, making it more attractive to see it grow. We do want it to grow. We believe we have a better way. We'll tell people about that better way, and if the growth comes, we'll celebrate it. And I'm actually optimistic on that. And we've seen here in the last 1 or 2 years, maybe 3 years, kind of the Shlaer-Mellor community, instead of fading, has turned and has started to grow again. Okay, enough abstract, kind of foggy vision. What, with the above stated, what might this look like? So I have 3 pages here of very tangible example activities that would fit within such a vision as was given. And the first one is the one that I'm probably the most enthusiastic about, because we're seeing a huge amount of progress here. And that is the coalescence and pulling the various Shlaer-Mellor related groups together, the various tooling dialects, the various language dialects, the various heritages of development, the geographic locations have really started to come together, and we're going to continue that, and we are continuing that and seeing some success. One of the things that's going to happen in the vision is we're going to refine the method. Mike Lee is leading the OOA team, and we have members from, again, this coalesced pulling together of disparate teams, and we're beginning to refine the method. You'll see at the end of the presentation, something worth celebrating there. It'd be nice to have an easy to read map of all the dialects and literature available, as well as an easy to read map of, okay, what tooling is available, what architectures, how do I, which one should I use? I can imagine a ShlaerMellor.org landing site that is just a beautiful, easy to use website with links to the collaboration tools and links to everything else, and news about what's going on. A Slack channel with different threads and chat rooms that allows for the discussion of the various topics that are active in the community at any particular time. I'm tired of having to have 85 different user IDs just to access different Shlaer-Mellor material. Text to graphics, graphics to text, more model compilers, better debug environments. This last one is one that has been touched on as we talk about perhaps converging meta models. But another thought would be to have a base Shlaer-Mellor meta model that represents the approved rendition of the methodology, and then a technique for extending that without changing the original meta model. Like to see a growing annual online conference. You know, we can celebrate a little bit there. We've seen some success. Physical gatherings, only one continent this year. Japan was going to happen, but we will see that happening in the future. Teaching materials, education activities such as the robot contests and things that are already happening, and see Shlaer-Mellor involvement in those activities. Add your items to this list, and be thinking of what specific tasks are important to you. And then as we look at how to participate, follow the steps of participation to see items added to the roadmap, activities within the Shlaer-Mellor Commons, focusing on things that are important to you. Okay, so we have this long to-do list, and we have, I would say, not a sea of volunteers, but we have some volunteers. How do we get there? I hate to use such a technical term, but a roadmap is effectively project management of your vision. You want to see your vision happen. So you have to choose the low-hanging fruit, the items that are important to the largest number of people, to keep the interest up and move forward. Some years ago, I gave a presentation and compared baby steps to giant leaps, and talked about Evel Knievel jumping his motorcycle over a line of monster trucks or over a fountain at a Las Vegas casino. And he was famous for having supposedly broken every bone in his body. So we're not going to make a single giant leap, but we're establishing a framework, a community process to allow us to take incremental, always advancing and never broken steps forward. So how do you participate? There's a short answer. You participate in the open source software way. This is how this type of community operates. Dave asked, why are some of these other new things, taking off so fast? One thing that you will find about those new ideas is that they have the collaboration, the communication, and tooling and processes in place to harness the ideas that are coming. And I'm a little simplistic. I'm an engineer. Maybe I can apologize if participation looks really a lot like engineering development, but I believe that is the way to actually have tangible progress forward. So all successful open source projects have an issue tracker. You need a way, when someone has an idea, when someone finds a bug, when someone wants something new to happen, they need a machine mechanism to capture that information, which then becomes a requirement, which is traced through the entire process. And so if you want to participate, get onto the issue tracker, raise issues, and modify and augment the issues that are there, push on prioritizing those issues. Good open source projects have source management. The artifacts, whether it be documentation, versions of chapters in a book, tooling, good projects are revision controlled. And so one way to increase your ability to participate is to become comfortable with the revision control systems And in our roadmap, because the Shlaer-Mellor Commons is likely going to have connection to multiple repositories of source artifacts on Google Drives, on Git repositories, on SourceForge, some of these things that the open source community uses naturally. We're going to coalesce, pull those together, and become comfortable using them. The single fundamental foundation is communication. And so our community is going to use certain communication media. And at the beginning, it's not going to be the best. But, I think of some successful open source projects in history, like Linux and Apache and WordPress. Think about how the Linux open source community communicated in the early days versus how they do it now has been just an evolution as these tools change and become popular. And we need to be very nimble at being able to establish our communications channels and get people plugged into them. And as they change, just improve our processes. So the short answer with participation, I should have had a summary here that just says, if you want to participate, connect to the issue tracker, find where the source is, and the communication channels immediately. And if you're recruiting other people into the community, they're going to need those quickly. And of course, we've got roadmap items where we will want to have the mechanics in place to just make that easier and not confusing. Okay, pausing and taking a breath.
Can I jump in?
Okay, jump in. That's what
All
this
right.
pause is for. The next step is I'm going to just give an update from the OOA and RD and community teams as briefly as I can. But go ahead,
Okay.
Leon.
All right. So a couple of points in support of the direction you're trying to move things. I kind of got. I noticed that you mentioned the Slack thing, and I can point to super positive experience in a community, in a technical community that I'm involved in, that I think does a really good job at a lot of the things that you're talking about. And I think there's a lot to be learned from it. And I would highly recommend taking a look, not necessarily to duplicate it exactly, but my God, they've done an amazing job of pulling a community together. Now it's a much larger community. It's the Python community, but there's two things to look at. So one is there is a site called Real Python. I think it's like Real Python. Actually, I have it right up here, realpython.com. I would say study what they have done like crazy. They're constantly putting tutorials up, little short tutorials, little short videos on how to do things. It's a beautiful site. It's well organized. You get sort of, it's a membership based thing, which is, in the Python community is appropriate. I don't think so much for us necessarily, but I pay for it. I mean, I get total value out of this thing. And they also have a Slack channel. So they have this Slack group. And, anytime I'm struggling along with a Python programming problem, or I'm trying to figure out how to do something, usually I'll just Google around and try and figure it out myself. But if I really get stuck, I'll go in and I'll just post a Slack message, and bam, like within an incredibly short time, somebody will jump on there and explain how to do it. And the last two times, it's turned out the people that have answered my questions have been authors of books in the community, right? And they've turned me on to all these great resources, and it's been incredibly helpful, and it's instant, right? So I live and breathe on Slack because I use it for work. I've got all these workspaces on Slack. It's just snappy. The Google chat thing is, I mean, we work with what we've got. So, I definitely, if there's a way to use Slack, I definitely, vote for that. And then I think everybody should, even if you're not a Python programmer, take a look at what they're doing. And even like every couple of weeks, I get an email from the guy that's organizing this thing. And it's these really snappy, easy to read emails. And every time I look at it, there's some interesting tips or some announcement about a new tutorial or something of use. And it's always a really short read. And I just can't not read them, even if I'm not actively programming. It just kind of sucks me in. So I don't know if we could sort of absorb some of that magic, I think we'd be moving in a good direction. So anyway, that's something to look at.
And I like those comments. Let me ask a pointed question. Who are you addressing that comment to?
I don't know, you, everybody.
Okay.
I mean, it's in support of the points you have made. I mean, you
Yeah.
particularly, I think you should take a look at that and just see what you think.
Yeah.
But
and the point that I want to make there is that in this volunteer community, I'm going to try to lead and herd the cats in a certain direction, but especially experts in some of the mechanics and tools, and especially experts outside of my realm, will need those experts to come alongside and contribute and move us toward that. So, one just specific roadmap idea is, okay, let's put together, the top in class communications channels for the Shlaer-Mellor Commons. What's that going to take? It's going to take some time and effort. It's going to have to go through, some steps of progress. And those are the types of issues that participants, I'm a participant too, but anyone can step up and grab that and offer to help with that. Sure.
I'm sorry, there's just one more thing. There's just one other tip. And again, I'll address it to you, to everybody to think about. GitHub, right? In the past, I really thought of GitHub as primarily just a place to do configuration management and a community of open source projects and so forth. But they've recently built up features that are very directed towards building a community. And the beauty of it is it's free. And the two big things that I've been playing around with a lot lately and having some success with are, one, their wiki building facility is pretty serviceable. I mean, it's not like, I'm sure there's better wiki building capabilities out there, but, for example, if you're taking your documentation for a class model, constructing that into a hyperlinked wiki is pretty easy. And so I've been starting to play with that, but just more importantly, putting little explanations. I mean, I'm doing this internally within my company of how do you interpret and read the various types of diagrams, right? And just putting that in the wiki right with the material. And then here's the big one. They have discussion groups, free discussion groups. So right there with all your content, right? You've got a wiki and you've got a discussion group for free for every little project you want to put up there. So I don't know how we might leverage that, but that's something we should be aware of.
Absolutely. And you are supporting, the key points, because like GitHub is at the edge, is at the leading edge. Everyone should just go see what an impact GitHub is having on the world, and know that those of us who aren't familiar with it in the software community are quickly becoming the minority. There are millions of projects, millions of users, and there's productive things that are moving forward, and especially the younger, nimbler students. This is what they want. They want to be able.
I can tell you, I work at a company where I'm pretty old. I mean, I'm just pretty old anyway, but I'm pretty old at this company. I'm rubbing shoulders with 20 somethings, 30 somethings. And whenever you talk about a project, whenever you talk about, when they say, well, what tools are you using? The first thing they say is, what's your GitHub site? Yeah. If you can't give them an answer, you just get this dumb look, right? So I've had this argument with Andrew Mangonia that it's can be rather complex and overkill as far as a configuration management tool, right? It was designed for supporting open source Linux, and for your little project, that can be overkill. And there's all this complexity and issues that comes with doing configuration management with Git. But I counter that with, who cares? It's a community. right? If you want people to see your stuff, you want people to engage with your work, you've got to be on GitHub, right? If you're on some crusty old thing somewhere, nobody's going to care. So
People aren't going to do it.
That's my point. Yeah.
That's and I'm in full agreement.
But haven't we got the problem that people who use GitHub are software engineers who don't like modeling?
No, GitHub is used for modeling, so.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking it's two types of people we're talking here, because there's people who like modeling and there's people who do software engineering, and they don't seem to be the same type of people. So they look for different things, possibly. I'm just,
Right, but if you want, that's true, right? And I work with a lot of programmers, and the last thing I want to do is get programmers interested in modeling so much, because they're having fun doing programming. I just don't care. I'm going to waste my time with that. But I'm working in an organization.
I'm going to interrupt and disagree, and I'm going to use Shlaer-Mellor terminology.
Sure.
Your configuration management is its own domain. It's its own separate concern. It is its subject matter, and modeling and configuration management are two concerns, and one supports the other. So we've got a subdomain of, below the architecture of the community, and the modeling activities. And these are the kinds of things that we're talking about. Okay, I'm going to, march through and get to the end of the presentation and then allow some more discussion. Okay, it's time that we have this kind of designed community of our commons, and we've got pillars in the community and specific key teams. Not all of them have been populated. They're not all in place. And the community team is still in its infancy, where this presentation today, in fact, is, moving the ball down the field just a little bit to advance, what is a community? How does it work? What are the tools of collaboration? How do you participate? Some of the questions that Emily asked in the richer presentation that she gave last time, we're moving forward on that. So the representation in this status of the efforts of the community team are that you've just seen it. We needed more specific vision, we needed more specific roadmap, and we needed specifics on how to participate. We'll still need more after that. I'm also going to give a quick update. Mike Lee is traveling and was unable to give an update for himself. And John Wolf, who's leading the RD team, is also, he may be online, but I know that he's got he may not be able to present, so I'm going to give his status as well. And what I want from you from this status here is to be, optimistic. We've got some encouraging steps that are happening. So from Mike Lee, the OOA modeling team was formed, and it's to basically advance the method or refine the method, answer questions coming from the community around the Shlaer-Mellor method itself. And he's built a council and has chosen 3 issues to begin addressing questions. He carefully chose, with the help of the community, chose issues that he thought were tractable enough to come to resolution on them before xtUML days. And the team is on track to do that. You don't have to be on the OOA council or the OOA modeling team or specifically on its council to participate. And Mike has done a good work in soliciting input and feedback from the community as a whole on the issues that they are facing, and it's working. They had some short-term goals to address at least 2 issues. It looks like they're going to have 3 issues that are addressed, and they fall in, they're one of the pillars. and so the first thing that Michael did was set up some infrastructure. And as much as he would love to have Git repositories and a Slack channel and everything all in place for the particular issues that he's dealing with, a shared personal Google Drive was, what he could get done before xtUML days. But it's been effective in at least giving collaborative access to his team for the documents that they need. There's been interactive discussion. He's been using email, and he's been using the Redmine issue tracker that OneFact uses to track the issues for that. So the progress on the goals, they're establishing the body of knowledge. There's some more things I could say. So the books and references, like the Mellor-Balser book, we're trying to get more accessibility to that. We're making progress on that. Mark sent Mike an email, and Stephen and Mark have the copyright for that. So there's going to be something happening there. We'll get news on xtUML days for that. The three issues that they identified to deal with were around association formalization, polymorphic events, and event prioritization. The event prioritization issue is now resolved, and the other two events are in significant progress going through their stages, and you'll hear more specifics on that at xtUML days. And at xtUML days, you'll be able to walk through the steps of this process with a real issue that Mike will assign to us on that day, and actually see how it works and practice participating. So the OOA Team Council includes members from kind of the old project technology camp, the old Kennedy Carter camp, the model integration camp, and so from all corners of the methodologists, we've got some key people to make decisions after the full collaborative discussions have occurred. It's been really fun watching this progress. And if you want to be involved, go take a look at those things. Connect to the issue tracker, connect to the repositories, and get on the communications channels. That's how you participate. We have a tooling team as well. It's moving a little more slowly, but it's making progress. And its charter is to, for the short term, is to characterize the existing Shlaer-Mellor support tools that you have access to on the net. And that is occurring. There's just a long list of characteristics of, features and characteristics of a tool that are being filled in for all of the tools that are available, specifically xUML, Bridgepoint in its couple of dialects, and the model realization tool chain as well. That brings us to the end. I didn't quite make it in 30 minutes, but I did get some interaction and discussion. So let us bookmark this to, we'll have a hard stop at the top of the hour. And so that gives us 10 or 15 minutes to have questions and discussion. I'm going to just go ahead and keep the recording going during the discussion. If people don't want to listen to it, that's the beauty of a recording. Questions or thoughts, xtUML days or the progress within the commons? Let me get my gallery view. I'm going to allow for awkward silence for just a little bit more. Ian, it's nice to see you.
I can.
Yeah,
Okay.
I've,
Do you have a
no, I was
question?
just going to say I'd been silent for a few weeks, so here I am. On
Yeah.
you go, Rob.
I just want to say that I kind of re-engaged with the community back in 2018 in Copenhagen.
In Copenhagen, yes.
Yeah. So 3 years. Wow, where did that go? The world has changed quite dramatically. This feels incredibly positive for me. We have achieved a lot collectively, and I think we should be proud of that. And hopefully, xtUML Days will be a reflection of what we've achieved together. Some of us have been up in the front, and Mike Lee, for sure, I think needs a lot of credit for what he's done. Shame he's not here, but other stuff is going on in the background, and I think this is great. So I'm trying to be upbeat.
Well, and I appreciate that, and thanks for opening the door to just major kudos to Mike Lee. He's been doing so much,
yeah,
that I got suspicious and I scratched my head and it said, Mike, you're doing a lot. What's your motivation? And he explained to me that he's just encouraged, like I am, to see the coalescence of the far-flung Shlaer-Mellor community and to see progress going forward. He has a love for the method, and honestly enjoys the camaraderie of Shlaer-Mellor people, and so it's really fun to see others inspired and enthusiastic, and I think that will inspire the members of his team as well as those who have visibility to the work that he's doing. Kubuaki-san, it's nice to see you here, and I'm really sad that that I find that I'm going to be unable to spend a week in Japan as I planned. We'll have to.
Yeah. I heard from Stagami-san. Yeah.
Yeah, we were trying to schedule it, but just a couple of days ago, we have a roadblock. So maybe 3 months down the road.
Yeah. Oh.
Okay. Thanks everyone for participating. I will capture the recording. I will have some minutes. I need to get a review from Rob Day on the document version of some of the material in this presentation, and then I will share that with the community. Meanwhile, the focus, at least my focus, turns to the conference. I would like your focus to turn to the conference, especially those of you who are presenting. Get your recordings done by the end of the month, and those of all of us should be trying to get the people to the conference that we believe should be there, our coworkers and students. And I will say that registration is going well, and we have a lot of names, unfamiliar names, beginning to be added to the list, which is really encouraging. Okay, I'm going to call it the meeting to a close. Thank you for your participation, and look for updates from the meeting coming very shortly. Bye for now.
Yeah. Bye, Court.
Bye, everyone.